2 years ago, I sold a loss-making business that was losing me around 30k per year, so it lost me over 100k. It turned out to be a multi-six-figure exit. And no, it wasn't to somebody that just didn't know what they was doing, and no, I didn't skewer the numbers on that business to sell it and make it look more profitable. And if you are a landlord or portfolio landlord, you could be sitting on an exit like this without even realizing, especially if you self-manage your property. So the business that I sold, and multiple businesses would buy this business as well, even big chains and big companies, I can't think of the word, put in the comments if you think of the word, but multinational companies would buy this loss-making business. And the business was a lettings business. And the reason people will buy these businesses even if they're not earning money is because if you've already got the existing setup and infrastructure as a letting agent, you are just buying revenue. Let me rewind on that. They didn't actually buy the business. They didn't buy my staff. They didn't buy my software premises or anything like that. They literally just bought the revenue from me. So how it works is if you've got this infrastructure already, one of the really big expenses of running a letting agent is all the compliance that you need. One of the big reasons I lost so much money with this venture is because I built a team around this from day one and we didn't have enough properties to cover it. And no matter if you've got like 50 properties, 150 properties, you need the same size team if you want it to run without you efficiently. So I'm Harvey, remote property investor. I've been involved in property since 2009. The reason I'm explaining this and sharing this is because one of the things when I started off in my journey was, and I got sucked into kind of thing, was multiple streams of property income. And yes, although I'm a believer of that, you've got to make sure you time when you do them multiple streams of income. With buying roughly one property per month for myself and selling roughly 1 or 2 properties to investors and using the BRRR strategy. And I went from doing 5 deals in my first 5 years to doing nearly 50 deals in a 2-year period doing this, and it was getting momentum. And we kind of fell into it a little bit by mistake. Also, I was in some seminars and was saying multiple streams of income, but I thought it would be another stream of income. We kind of got the team there and we earned extra money, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And ultimately, you can do most things, but you can't do everything. And I jumped. This could have been a right thing, should I say, not definitely a right thing. It could have been the right thing to do that complemented my deal sourcing. The idea and thought process behind it is we're sourcing these deals for myself and for investors. So we need lettings. So we might as well keep it in-house and keep the money. But the mistake I made was not building it large enough before I'd done that. And also not understanding the business enough before I'd done that, or partner with somebody that did understand it. And even if you do partner with somebody who understands it, as a business owner, you need a base level understanding. I remember reading The 4-Hour Work Week, and I remember having a mentor at the time saying outsource everything. And I'm not one of these micromanager sort of types people thinking I can do it best myself, I do it all myself. I'm very much like, here you go, here's a laptop, here's the information out of my head, get on with it. And that was the massive mistake. And it not only lost me money, like I went from buying 1 property per month for myself, buying 1 or 2 properties per month for investors, to like literally not buying another property for myself for nearly 3 years while I was managing and trying to navigate this problem and this hole that I created. I've created another video on that which you can watch here, so I'm not going to go too much in depth on the loss, but I'm going to explain you more about how you could be sitting on a bit of a fortune here if you're a portfolio landlord. If you're a portfolio landlord and you're self-managing, and even you're not, you potentially could approach, like if you've got like 30, 40, 50 properties, there'll be a letting agent that would happily give you a fee to fold that into their business. And the reason is they buy the revenue. As I said, you need staff. So if you've already got the infrastructure and all the systems in place and you've got all the compliance and all them costs, when you buy somebody else's portfolio of properties, like lettings portfolio, you can then shut all of their costs down and you can fold it into yours. And often, depending how many properties you fold in, will mean you might need to hire 1 or 2 extra staff members. So the person I sold this to, it's called Matty. I'm still partners with him. The deal we done was he brought in no money down, so it's fantastic for him. And when I sold it to him, he'd done a deferred payment scheme. So he paid me monthly out of the revenue that he was getting. And at the time, I can't remember, it might have been 6, 7K revenue. So he was just buying the revenue. At the time when we got it to that revenue, we were just about breaking even, earning a little tiny bit of money at the time. And the reason I sold it after like spending so many years of loss making and just about getting to a point where it's about to earn money was because it's a very difficult business to run. Operationally wise, like it's very operational heavy, and every business comes with challenges. And the big challenge is like universal across every business, whether you're Elon Musk, whether you're Apple, is getting talented staff. In Silicon Valley in America, they call them the talent wars because they're all trying to poach each other talent. And what you got to look at when you start a business, and this is why when people come to me, I consult with people now in property to teach them learning from my mistakes. Just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it couldn't work for everybody. But when people come to me and say, I want to start a lettings business, I say, think long and hard. Because if it is a business, it's got to run without you. For something to run without you, you need people. And what you've got to look at when you're starting a business is how easy is it to attract staff? So at the moment, we've got like a marketing and consultancy style hybrid business where we help people with their marketing in property. We help them build their funnels, their marketing, their profile. We help them find investors with consultancy. If I put a job advert out and say, hey, who wants to be a funnel builder or a social media manager or a marketing manager, I'll get 100, 200, 300, 1,000 people put their hand up for that job because it sounds sexy and it actually is quite enjoyable when you get in there. Or if I put a job advert out and say, hey, who wants to be a lettings manager? So do you, like on this side, you are managing likes, funnels, like algorithms and stuff like this, and it's very interesting and it's very lucrative as well. On this side, you're managing tenants, landlords and handymen. You probably get 10 people on this side put their hand up saying, hey, I want to be a lettings manager. And ultimately, as I said, over this side, you can pay very handsomely. Over this side, you can pay pretty much just above minimum wage because the margins are so tight. And again, I remember at the time, especially when I sold this to Matty, and the deal I had with Matty was deferred payment scheme and 20% shares within the business, or both of the business, the deal sourcing business. So at the time I was deal sourcing as well. So I folded my deal sourcing into HERES. I got 20% of both of the business, the lettings and the sourcing. And then Matty does the front end running of it and I just give him support in the background. But I'm a shareholder, not an active director of those businesses. That was great for me. And again, Matty, we built it from when I folded into Matty, I think Matty had about 40 properties. And when I folded my portfolio in there was around 140-ish into this. You need about 140 to 150 properties to make this run as a team. I started this far too early, around 50 properties, but I still need the same size team as I would have done as running as a bigger business. And that's coming back to it. As I said, hiring the staff to run that for you was very, very, very difficult because it's not enjoyable of a job. And we had such a turnover of staff. And when I sold it to Matty, Matty went from 40 properties to 140 overnight. And again, the same challenges Matty and me had because I was supporting him as a consultant in the background was staffing it. And then in just about a year and a half after Matty bought it from me and integrated me in as a shareholder, we sold it again to another bigger company for a bigger exit, which multi-six figures. It's paid me back more in the long run, but the painful lesson along the way was hard and the opportunity cost. So what happens was when I set this up, I was buying 1 to 2 properties per month. As I said, I stopped buying properties for myself and went from buying sort of like 20 odd properties for investors per year to literally buying 3 to 5 properties per year just to keep my overheads running, and I was massively in a big sort of hole. The challenge I had was the more properties I bought, the more challenging the lettings was. I felt I couldn't let go of the lettings just straight away because all of our landlords was people that bought properties from me. So I felt a moral obligation to try and make it work. In hindsight, was it the right thing? I'm not sure. I feel maybe it would have been better to hand it over to somebody that could have just picked it up and run with it and not had the challenges. But all the money then ended up being, all the money I was earning from sourcing, which was reduced now, was literally going back in to try and sort this problem out. It was very, very challenging time. And again, this is why I say, not Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, always says, make sure you're in the right boat rowing at the right time. That was probably the right thing to do. It did complement the business, but I started at the wrong time. The infrastructure wasn't quite in place for the sourcing for me to step away from that. So when I did step away from it and got dragged into the firefighting of the lettings, that wasn't solid enough to keep on going. Also, I didn't have quite enough volume in when we started it up to jump that across because yeah, you need around 150 properties. So the people that I was seeing doing this all had 150, 700 properties when they started their lettings agent. So I didn't have enough infrastructure and volume and quantities of scale to be able to start it up with a team unless I wanted to dive into it, which wasn't a good return for my time because I earned a hell of a lot more money deal sourcing. But I earned no money really for them couple of years. Very minimal money just to keep my head above water, just to try and navigate out of the problem. And again, I'll just repeat this. It's not just finding staff, it's finding finding multiple handymen. It's like, it's the whole infrastructure. It's very a compliant thing to like to do, so you've got to have loads and loads of systems in place. So think long and hard about it, and even if you do jump into it, you've got to think, is my effort, like Charlie Munger has said, he says, make sure you're rowing in the right direction of the boat. I put loads of tremendous effort into rowing in the wrong direction up the wrong stream, where ultimately I could have transferred that across into what I'm doing now, marketing and consultancy, a hybrid model, and we would have took off a hell of a lot quicker. But that said, there is a lot of lessons that's carried across from here to here, and I've exited it now twice and I get dividends from the business, and the learnings that I've got from that is unreal. And I think more than anything, it hurts your ego. At the time I was getting momentum, I thought I was Richard Branson, and it wasn't just the lettings I started a refurbishment business at the same time as well, two very difficult businesses. And I see this all the time when I consult with people. You get a bit of momentum on one business, you think you've got the Miner's touch, you think you're Richard Branson or Elon Musk, and you open up these multiple businesses. And I'm in a mastermind, 2 masterminds at the moment, and the emphasis and the big pushing down message is focus. It's very difficult to make one business really good, let alone if you try and do 3 or 4 or 5 of them at the same time. So you really got to time your time when you do it, or make sure you get the right partners in place. And even if you get the right partners in place, you do need to understand the fundamentals that go behind it. But anyway, listen, if you are interested in sourcing properties, that's what we help people with now. So have a watch of this video here. It's to tell you how you can get to 10K per month doing deal sourcing very quickly. And if you're still here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that bell icon really does help the channel. My wife's to live on my terms, my mission to help as many people live on their terms, using property as a tool to do that. So please share this out with somebody you think will find this useful. But remember, if you don't evolve your ideas, you'll never live on your own terms. So evolve your ideas, live on your own terms, have an amazing day. Make sure you watch this video here that YouTube is suggesting that you'll like.